Jaden and where we're at. So he did re-aggravate his elbow injury in the game. No structural setbacks. However, through the medical evaluations, over the last couple of days, including this morning, doctors advised us we hold him this Sunday. And so Marcus will start. And we're really bummed for Jaden. Like, he is working incredibly hard to get back on the field with his guys. And so tough deal. He's absolutely going for it. So wanted to get that out as we got started, and glad to open up to you guys and get rolling as we get ready for the Giants.
Do you anticipate him coming back this season, and what's, again, the value, I guess, with
Sure.
only 3 games?
Well, I know that's why I wanted to come out. He's going to be out this week. He'll practice as we're going in a limited fashion. But let's see where we're at next week. We're always going to make the best decisions, John, for him, for the team, what the medical, opinions are. So we kind of just wanted to give you that information today, and then we can work into next week.
I guess also, as you look forward with some other positions and all that, and we've talked about the young guys playing, et cetera, that 2024, the second and third round picks, you had a lot of those guys. Have you gotten the impact that you feel you've needed from them this year? And I know people don't develop linearly, right? But have you gotten that impact from that group that maybe you need, and what you need to see from them moving forward?
Yeah, I think I don't want to do like an end-of-year assessment, like as we're going this week. But it's really important over the next weeks of what we can do, what we can get done. And so all of, last year's class, this year's class, when we get our chances to go make your mark, you've got to be able to go do that. So we can visit on that postseason, but I think right now I'm just kind of really worried about them developing and playing well in this game.
I just want to clarify one thing. You said after the game that he could have gone back in.
Correct.
So this was discovered further imaging on Monday?
Yeah, the imaging was good, so there's no structural setbacks. But just like most players, you talk to them on a Sunday, and then again, what Monday feels like, and not quite the same of, swelling or strength and those things to go into it. Mm-hmm. So it was confirmed no structural in the evaluation at the game, and then again this week.
I know, again, you said post-game that, wasn't acceptable in all 3 phases. But just looking at the offense, how have you felt the O-line has developed together since Sam Cosme came back? And then have you gotten what you've wanted out of the skill players? I know there's been that rotation of injuries. But.
Yeah. It's hard to, not see the game. It really is, because there was a lot that I liked about our offensive line, 13 days ago or whatever. So having Sam come back and find continuity with Josh, these guys are going to play a lot of football together. And so I think that's like a good step, Nikki, where that continuity takes place. At the receiver spot, it's not just plug and play, and the continuity is important. And so having, Noah and Terry and Debo, Trey back into the whole practice, full speed reps, that definitely, it's a big deal for us. And, as we move forward, over these next weeks, I think we'll continue to see the benefit of that moving forward.
Coach, just back to Jaden for a second.
Sure.
On a lot of his runs, you could see when he's sort of done running, giving himself up, he's trying to fight for extra yards, and a lot of times I'll notice he sort of dives forward or head first. Do you mind that, or would you rather see maybe more like a base runner slide, or does that matter at all?
No, it's a great question, and it's a common one. So there's 2 different ways that you can give yourself up. If you're diving, they begin the spot where it is, and it's, roll to a side and dive that way. Either way, the protection is there. You're giving yourself up with the dive or with a slide. So both of them are techniques, and just matters, where you're at, what you feel more comfortable with. But it's pretty common both ways when you're giving yourself up. If you're not and you're straining for yards just, straight away, then that's a whole different topic. But as far as the play's over, I'm a slide or dive, those are both, effective ways to do it. And sometimes it's to one side this way, to my left that way. And that's pretty common for a lot of the QBs.
I know the initial injury was a dislocation. Can you provide any other information on what happened to aggravate it? Whether it was another
landing on it, full on,
like a bruise or a. I guess the question is, did he re-dislocate it?
No. Yes, there's no structural setbacks at all. So just sometimes the heavy hit of something can, cause, the re-aggravation, but no setback. So there's no dislocation of that. The structural part is good, but obviously, like, the one thing you don't want to do is like land directly on it. And so, what's that, Murphy's Law or something like that? Like the one thing that can't happen. And so, yeah, there's no structural setback. So I want to make sure I was super clear on that.
Okay. And then obviously it was kind of fluky that he was chasing down a guy after an interception. As a coach, are you good with him doing that? Like, do you like seeing him try to make a play, or would you prefer that he not?
Fortunately, it's not a scenario we're in a lot with him. So I'm super thankful for that. And, yeah, like, it's not something that we, practice a whole lot or techniques of that. And so you get blocked, some as a, person that's going after, but like the guy's a competitive player, and, we're not going to live our whole life scared. I can promise you that, but we're going to do everything and all the time, like, great decisions for him, for the team, and where we're at. But, yeah, I'm fortunate that we don't talk about a play like that a lot.
Obviously, injuries are never a good thing, but for Ben Sinnott, with obviously you guys, losing Zach Ertz for the year with the torn ACL, could this be an opportunity for him to kind of spread his wings a little bit?
Yeah, I think that's a good evaluation by you. And like Ben, like behind the scenes, as not necessarily behind the scenes, but in the practice, the work that he's put in, and Zach's made a big impact on that. Him and Yankoff both are like guys we see ascending and developing. We feel his speed. We feel his energy to go do that. So it is that moment where you do have, more chances, when an injury takes place. So, yeah, you're accurate on that, and we're looking forward to that for him. Don't like the circumstance how it happened, but when it does and you take advantage of it, it's a big deal.
How would you say that the time he's missing, the playing time, the game time Jaden's missing this year, has affected his development in his second year in the league?
Yeah, any player, it's really important. And at quarterback, the reps, are significant because there's like so many things that happen, on a play, where it can go, what's the check, what's the look. It's different than maybe a technique at another spot. So I think most quarterbacks would say that there's a lot of value in the reps that they get and what they do. And some are practice, some aren't. It's the scramble to, keep my eyes downfield. It's this coverage that I can go to a certain look. So all of those are valuable for sure.
And just going back to the O-line for one sec, would you consider that unit maybe the highlight of this season in terms of the play you've gotten and the fact that other than Sam at the start, they've been healthy and you've been able to consistently roll out those guys game after game?
Yes, and there's a number of things that I like, certainly, especially in the run game. Some of the combination blocks that you've seen, and especially on the left side with Laramie and Chris on some of the double teams and down blocks have been significant. So to see that part elevate, that'd be accurate. And we want to constantly challenge them and, again, hire to take it. But, yeah, it's definitely one of the parts that they've, especially since Sam has come back, remained healthy. And that's a big deal. Like there's a lot of positions that, Coach doesn't ever say we're all set at. It's O-line and corners and rushers. And so to have those guys stay healthy and getting the continuity together, it's a big deal.
Hey, Dan, over the last couple of weeks, you've kind of discussed with us the benefit of Jaden playing. If he's healthy, why should he continue to play? Right. How about flip it? Do you see any benefit of him not playing at all this year? If he's healthy, shutting him down, do you see any benefit in that?
Sure, I recognize the question. It's an easy one to go, and we haven't really gone down that road yet to decide. He's out this week, and he's working hard to get back. But as far as what decisions are ahead, like we just haven't gone down that road. He's working incredibly hard to get back with the guys. So, yeah, we're really bummed they got, re-aggravated on this specific injury. Going into it, thought he had a good week. There were things to improve upon into the game to get started. But, we haven't gone down all the way yet. We just, kind of went through the first evaluations this week to get ready to play. So I'll have a better update as we're moving forward.
How's the team holding up? Long losing streak. You got 4 games left in the season. How do you avoid that so-called checking out kind of, you only have 4 games left and then it's pack your bags and go to your destinations?
Yeah, I think there's a lot to play for. And we talked about this being a, 4-game division tournament here for us beginning in the Meadowlands. And so when you have a career worst performance, you get back up off the mat and you swing first. That's what, that's what competitors and battling for it do. So that's what I expect to see from our team, how we go after it, the style and the attitude that we want to do that together. So that's what I'm, expecting to see fully this week in that game. A lot that we had to address and didn't like, but I certainly don't think that's anything that's indicative of what's ahead.
And Coach, just looking back to last week, we know that Jaden had the great practice and that he was trending in the right direction and such. Why was it important that he did get back on the field with his teammates and look to lead his squad?
Yeah, there's so much to gain from playing, and I think Howard was saying that earlier about reps. And at that point, we were probably talking about 30% of the season to go and to gain experience. And so all of that matters in your development. Like we're looking to keep developing him for a really long time. And so if there was a chance to improve over these next, games ahead, like we were going to go after that as hard as we could, knowing that it would pay dividends in the future. And so when you have a setback like that happen, obviously, we're bummed for him, we're bummed for us. And, that's the one thing you didn't want to happen, happened. So now we'll, move into this week. Mark's will be the starter, but, we're pleased with where it was going into the game, him coming back and being ready.
Being that this is the first team you guys are seeing for the second time, for the rookies, guys like Josh Connolly, do you use this game as kind of a measuring stick for how much he's improved from kind of early on in the season until now? Yeah,
it's definitely one of the things that we discussed to say, where were you here in September and where are you now? And I think that, like talking about Josh specifically, like he's the ideal person to talk about that first NFL game going. And so like you have to travel that journey a little bit the first year of the ups and downs to go. And so, yeah, there's a side that to say, I want to show it again. And you get, when it's a pretty long, extended time between that, that's a big deal. And so sometimes they're close, like the two Philadelphia ones are. So getting to like redo it again. After that one, you get to look at that game a lot and say, okay, where am I at? For the veterans, you can now go through that game, last year's game. So it adds value, and a player learns, okay, I'm starting to get what division means, why they say you know each other well, like, okay, like I literally saw myself playing these guys, and now I get to see it again. So it's the first step of understanding division football.
Dan, if I'm gathering you right, so it sounds like Jaden was saying the day after or so that there was some sort of discomfort, and that led to more testing.
No, we knew there was going to be testing from the re-aggravation, but if you ask any player that what you feel like in game to post game or Monday, it's usually significantly different.
In real time, you weren't sure exactly if there was some sort of re-aggravation. So the decision to keep him out, how much did what happened previously in the Seattle game weigh on you in making that call?
It didn't weigh on me. Just where we were in the game, it wasn't going like we wanted, and I thought this is the best call right here. And so it wasn't a difficult one that I wrestled with in that spot. Like I said, we're just going to make the best decision for him and the team. So they did the evaluation; it was correct. There weren't any, structural setbacks. He wasn't happy about it, but I thought, hey, this is the best decision right now, and like I'll continue to do that, whether it was him or anybody else in that spot.
And to that end, I don't know the exact moment you decided for him to not come back, but it was still, I think, the third quarter, 17-0. In a normal world, that's not a game that a team would say, hey, this is not going right.
Yep.
What does that say, I guess, about your thoughts on where this team is right now that you decided? That
it was specific to the game. Specific to the game. It may have felt 17-0. It didn't feel like 17-0 to me.
Take two more.
Hey, Coach. So I wanted to non-Jaden question. Turnover margin, tackling margin. From a turnover margin perspective, that's something that the team has tried to hit last year and this year, not really hit the mark there. So when you take
I would say there was things I liked better about last year's turnover margin because we ended in the plus. And so I'll push back a little bit on that. This year, couldn't agree with you more.
Imperfect. So with that, what are some of the contributing factors you think, now that you've kind of taken a look at all the games, of why you're not hitting that mark? You ended, like you just mentioned, you hit the plus at the end of last year, but not there this year.
Like most things, it's not just one specific one. Defensively, I certainly like to hit the quarterback more. That's oftentimes where some fumbles can come, and you get more, recovery of fumble chances. So that's one spot. We started playing a little bit more vision zone over the last few weeks to see if we could make some collisions, knock a few balls out on the ones that are, caught, even though they're caught in front. Could we go get the contact and create some hits in that way? And then when you have vision on the quarterback, oftentimes you can have, see the throw, break on it better. So we've worked on that. It didn't come to fruition in last week's game. I felt we had a couple of chances to do that. We missed one. I thought, a couple ones towards the sideline. Can you go make your plays? The interception Bobby had a week ago was in a zone where he was able to see it and go break on it. Offensively, it's been a number of things. There's been fumbles and interceptions, obviously. So the fumbles are the ones easiest to say, okay, what was the cause? Where was the player coming from? How did we have ball security? Was it tight enough? And then from the interceptions, you want to look at it to say, was the read there? Was something forced? Was there a tip ball? Those are the things that I generally look at. And so you could have a quarterback maybe has 10 on the year and say, okay, that seems high. And then all of a sudden this tip, like where they weren't necessarily onto him. So those are a little more specific. As far as us going into that spot, like I was talking about earlier with Jaden, I thought he's been somebody who's been proven a good decision maker with the ball. And I think we'll continue to see that from him. But creating them is the best way to get in the plus. Because you don't want to rely on just, hey, we got great ball security, but we're not taking out any money. You'll stay around the lower numbers. So the more you get, the better your chance to go in the plus. And that part for us not making them or missing the chances at it, that's a big deal.
All right.
Go ahead.
Usually see some division games at the end of the season, obviously, but with 4 straight, do you like that? Last month, all division?
I don't know if I've had that. I thought about that before. Is there a time when I can remember where I had 4 consecutive? I like how the league set that up. It's competitive. It's tough. You know where you're at. And early on, sometimes it's nice to start with one where it's like right off the bat, everybody's attention's ready. But in this instance, familiar opponents going for it 4 weeks in a row. A couple of them are in shorter weeks. I think there's a lot of value in that, and we'll be ready to fight.